If you've ever loved a dog like family, then please listen till the end, because what I'm about to share will shake your heart. And if you've ever lost faith in how people treat animals, this story might change how you see loyalty forever. It all started on a quiet Sunday morning. The sun was soft, the kind of light that makes you want to sit outside with a cup of coffee and just breathe. My old dog, Rex, was lying by my porch, calm, strong, and proud. He wasn't just any dog. Rex was a retired military canine, trained to protect lives, detect danger, and follow every command with discipline most humans don't have anymore. He had served with honor. He had saved soldiers. And now, in his old age, all he wanted was peace and a soft place to rest his tired bones. But peace doesn't last long when you live under an HOA. Our neighborhood had always been strict, rules for everything. Grass height, trash bins, even what color your front door could be. I had never thought much of it. I followed the rules, paid the fees, kept to myself. But that morning I noticed something different. 3 people from the HOA were standing near my driveway, clipboards in hand, whispering and staring straight at Rex. At first, I thought maybe they were admiring him. After all, Rex looked like something out of a movie. A strong German shepherd with gray around his muzzle, a calm look in his eyes that told stories of battlefields and bravery. But then I saw their expressions. Cold, judging, disapproving. One of them, a woman named Linda, who always acted like she ran the neighborhood, finally stepped forward. "Sir," she said sharply, "we've received complaints about your dog. He's intimidating the neighbors." I looked at her, confused. "Intimidating?" I said. "He's lying down. He barely moves these days." She frowned, flipping a paper on her clipboard. "There's also concern about his breed. German Shepherds are classified as aggressive animals in our HOA policy. You'll need to remove him from the property." "Remove him?" My heart started pounding. "Ma'am, this dog is a retired military hero," I said, trying to keep calm. "He's trained to protect, not harm." He's older now, barely even barks, but Linda just shrugged. Rules are rules. I can't describe the kind of anger and sadness that rose in my chest in that moment. I had seen Rex crawl through barbed wire, jump into danger, and save lives. And now these people wanted to take him away because he looked scary. I felt my voice shake as I said, "You don't take a soldier's dog away. You just don't." They left that day, but not before handing me a notice, an official warning. If Rex wasn't relocated within 7 days, I'd face a fine and possibly legal action. I sat on the porch that evening with Rex's head resting on my knee. He looked up at me with those same calm, loyal eyes that had once looked at explosions, smoke, and fear without flinching. Now, all he saw was confusion, his human trembling, angry, and helpless. You know, when you get old, your dog becomes more than a pet. They become part of your heartbeat. Rex was my last link to a time when courage still meant something. And now this HOA wanted to rip that away because of a piece of paper and a rule book. The next day, I tried to reason with them. I took photos of Rex sleeping peacefully, showed them his service records, his certificates, even letters of appreciation from the Army. But it didn't matter. They kept saying, "Policy is policy." I couldn't help but notice the irony. The same country that honors soldiers for their bravery now lets a neighborhood committee treat a retired military canine like a danger to society. Decided I wasn't going down without a fight. I called my old Army buddy Tom, who had served with me overseas. He remembered Rex. "That dog saved lives," he said. "If they think they can just take him, they've got another thing coming." Tom helped me reach out to a few organizations that defend veterans' rights and service animals. Within 2 days, word began to spread. People from across the town started hearing about the HOA that was trying to take away a hero's dog. By the third day, letters started coming in. Neighbors who once ignored me began stopping by to pet Rex to offer support. Someone even brought a small American flag and planted it by my yard next to Rex's favorite spot. The HOA wasn't happy. Linda came again, this time looking more nervous than confident. "We didn't expect all this attention," she said quietly. "Well," I replied, "you didn't expect people to care about what's right either." But it wasn't over yet. She warned me that the board had scheduled a formal hearing. "If the board votes against you," she said, "you'll still have to remove the dog." That night I sat by Rex's side again. The porch light flickered and the wind carried the smell of rain. I spoke to him softly. "You've been through worse, haven't you, boy?" His tail thumped weakly and he pressed his nose against my hand. I could feel the weight of years, the stories in his eyes. I knew the coming days would be a battle, not with bullets this time, but with words, rules, and people who had forgotten what compassion looked like. As I sat there, I realized something powerful. Sometimes, the greatest wars are fought not on battlefields, but in quiet front yards, where a man just wants to protect the one who once protected him. And that's when I made a promise. No matter what happened at that hearing, Rex was staying home because heroes don't belong in cages. And loyalty doesn't follow rules. If you've ever stood up for what's right or fought for someone who couldn't speak for themselves, you'll want to hear what happened next. If you think things couldn't get worse, you're wrong. The day of the HOA hearing felt heavier than any day I'd faced in my life. Not because I was afraid of losing money or facing legal trouble, but because I was afraid of losing Rex. That morning, I woke up early. The sky was gray, clouds thick like they were carrying my worries. Rex followed me slowly into the kitchen, his steps soft but steady. I made him breakfast, eggs and a bit of sausage, his favorite. And as he ate, I couldn't stop thinking, how did we end up here? A dog who once protected soldiers from bombs was now being judged by a group of neighbors who thought he looked too intimidating. When I arrived at the community hall, the parking lot was already full. People were gathered outside holding small signs. One said, "Save Rex." Another read, "Honor our heroes, 4 legs or 2. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. These people, were strangers, had come to stand with me. It reminded me of something I learned in the Army. Even in your darkest fight, someone will stand beside you if your cause is right. Inside the hall, the HOA board sat behind a long table. Linda was there, her lips tight, her clipboard ready. She looked uncomfortable. Not angry this time, just uneasy. Maybe she hadn't expected this much attention. I took a seat, my heart pounding. The chairman cleared his throat. "We are here to address the violation involving a resident's dog, Rex," he said. His voice echoed through the hall. I stood up slowly. My knees felt weak, but my voice came out steady. "Before we talk about rules, I'd like to talk about what Rex has done for this country." I pulled out a photo from my jacket. It was old and faded. Me and Rex, standing in a dusty war zone, both younger, both stronger. "This dog," I said, holding it up, "sniffed out bombs before they could kill soldiers. He found wounded men under rubble. He stayed calm under fire when humans panicked. And now all he wants is a quiet home." The room went silent. You could hear the hum of the old ceiling fan. Some people lowered their eyes. Then I said something I hadn't planned to. "You call him dangerous. But maybe what's dangerous is forgetting what sacrifice looks like. A few people clapped quietly. Others nodded. But Linda crossed her arms. "We respect your service, sir," she said, "but HOA policies exist for a reason. Large dogs, especially breeds like this, can pose risks." Her words hit me like cold rain. I could see where this was going. They weren't going to listen to heart, only to rules. Then something unexpected happened. From the back of the room, a man stood up. I recognized him immediately. It was Tom, my old army buddy. I hadn't known he would come. "Excuse me," he said, his voice strong. "I served with this man, and I served with that dog. Rex saved my life. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be standing here today." He walked to the front, his steps slow but sure. "You call him intimidating?" he said, pointing at Rex's picture. "That dog's the reason dozens of soldiers got to go home to their families." The room erupted in quiet murmurs. A few people clapped louder this time. Even the chairman looked moved. Linda tried to speak again, but her voice wavered. Tom continued, "When we came home, Rex was supposed to retire with honor. But where's the honor if he can't even rest in peace without someone trying to take his home?" I felt tears burning behind my eyes. I looked at Rex's photo again and whispered to myself, "You're not alone, boy." The chairman sighed, took off his glasses, and rubbed his forehead. "Mr. Harris," he said finally, "this case is unusual. We'll need to review it further." Linda looked frustrated. "That's not how procedure works," she muttered. But the crowd had already made up their minds. People were whispering, shaking their heads at her words. When the meeting ended, I walked outside to find Rex waiting patiently by the truck, tail wagging weakly. The crowd gathered around, some reaching down to pet him, others thanking him for his service. An old woman, maybe in her 70s, leaned close and whispered, "That dog's a hero. Don't let them touch him." Her words stayed in my heart. That night I sat on the porch again, Rex beside me as always. I watched the stars blink through the clouds. It's strange. You can face war. You can lose friends. You can survive explosions. But nothing makes you feel smaller than watching people question the worth of someone you love. The next morning, something unexpected happened again. I received a call, not from the HOA, but from a local TV station. They'd heard about the story. They wanted to interview me and Rex. I hesitated at first. I'm not the kind of man who seeks attention, but I realized this wasn't about fame. It was about justice. If this could help Rex, if it could stop other people from facing the same thing, then maybe it was worth it. That evening, a small news crew came to our home. The reporter, a young woman with kind eyes, knelt to pet Rex before the camera rolled. "He's beautiful," she said softly. When the camera light came on, I told our story. Everything. How Rex had served. How the HOA had tried to remove him. How neighbors had come together. My voice cracked when I said, "He's more than a dog. He's family." The story aired that night, and within 24 hours, it spread like wildfire. People from across the state began calling, sending emails, even donating to help with legal costs. Veterans groups reached out, offering to testify. Some even planned to protest if the HOA didn't back down. By the third day, the pressure on the HOA was unbearable. They called another emergency meeting. This time, I was ready. I walked in with Tom and with letters from veterans all over the country. Some were handwritten. Some typed. All of them said the same thing. Rex is one of us. Linda looked tired now, her confidence cracked. "This has gotten out of hand," she said quietly. The chairman nodded slowly. "Maybe it got out of hand because we forgot to be human." I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. The silence in that room spoke louder than any argument. Finally, after a long pause, the chairman looked at me. "Mr. Harris," he said, "the board has decided to withdraw the removal notice. Rex can stay." I closed my eyes for a second, letting the relief wash over me. The crowd outside began to cheer. I looked down at Rex, who was sitting proudly by my side, as if he knew he'd just won another battle. I bent down, wrapped my arms around his neck, and whispered, "You did it, boy. You did it again." That night, the air felt different, peaceful. The stars were brighter, the wind softer. For the first time in weeks, I slept without fear. But what happened next was something I never expected. You'd think after the HOA withdrew their notice, life would go back to normal. But life has its own way of testing how much love and loyalty a heart can carry. The following weeks were calm. People waved when they saw me walking Rex. Kids stopped their bikes to pet him. Even Linda started smiling when we passed her house. I guess she finally understood what everyone else already knew. Rex wasn't a danger. He was a symbol of courage, of quiet dignity. Every evening we'd sit on the porch, just like always. I'd sip my coffee and Rex would lie beside me, his head resting on my foot. The sunset would paint the sky in gold and orange, and for a while it felt like the world had finally set things right. But one evening, something felt different. Rex didn't come when I called. I found him lying near the fence, breathing slow, his eyes soft but tired. I knelt beside him, panic rising in my chest. "Hey, buddy," I whispered. "You okay?" He looked at me, tail moving just once, like a small wave goodbye. I called the vet, but deep down I already knew. His time had come. The vet arrived within minutes, but when she touched Rex's paw, she just shook her head. "He's gone peacefully," she said softly. For a long time, I didn't move. I just sat there holding his head in my lap, tears falling on his fur. My old soldier was gone, not in a battlefield, not in fear, but at home, where he belonged. I buried him under the big oak tree in the yard, the same spot where he used to watch the street like a silent guardian. The neighbors came. Even Linda was there, holding flowers. When she placed them by his grave, she whispered, "I'm sorry." Tom stood beside me, hand on my shoulder. "He got the peace he earned," he said. That night I sat on the porch again, alone for the first time in years. The house was quiet, too quiet. Every sound, every shadow reminded me of him. And then, as I looked toward the oak tree, I saw something strange in a small American flag, gently waving in the wind. Someone had placed it there. Maybe one of the kids, maybe one of the neighbors. I don't know. But in that moment, it felt like Rex was being saluted one last time. Days passed and people kept visiting. They'd bring flowers, leave notes, some even medals from family members who had served. It became more than just a grave. It became a symbol of what loyalty means. The HOA changed after that, too. They rewrote their policy, allowing service and retired military animals to stay without restriction. Linda even started a small fund to support local veterans and their service dogs. She called it Rex's Promise. Every year now, on the day Rex passed, neighbors gather under that old oak tree. We share stories about bravery, friendship, and how one dog reminded a whole neighborhood what compassion looks like, and sometimes, when the wind blows just right, I swear I can hear the faint jingle of his old collar. Like he's still patrolling, still watching over his home. You know, they say heroes never die, they just rest in peace, and I believe that. Because every time someone stops to pet a service dog or thanks a veteran, a piece of Rex's spirit lives on. If you've ever loved a pet, you know what I mean. They don't just walk beside us and they walk through us, leaving paw prints that time can't wash away. So, if you're watching this right now, do one thing for me. Go hug your dog a little tighter tonight. Tell them you love them. Because loyalty like that doesn't come twice in a lifetime. And if you believe heroes come in all shapes, 2 legs or 4, share this story. Let Rex's courage remind the world that love, loyalty, and respect never grow old, because some stories shouldn't just be heard. They should be felt.